Be a barbecue hero with delicious, ultra-low net-carb hero bread, buns, and tortillas. Soft and fluffy, high in fiber, and with 0 grams of sugar, up to 10 grams of protein, coming in at under 100 calories per serving. Oh, and did I mention they taste like their mouth-watering traditional versions? I mean, what's not to love? Use code AH10 for 10% off your first hero bread purchase at hero.co. That's AH10 for 10% off at hero.co.
This is
Make It Plain.
Make It Plain. M.I.P.
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson. Make it plain. Get woke.
Happy Kwanzaa, mamas and babas, sisters and brothers. Once again, we welcome you back to Make It Plain as we are spending Kwanzaa here with none other than the professor and chair of the Department of Africana Studies at Cal State University, Long Beach, chair of the organization US and the National Association of Kawaii Organizations, and of course, why he's here right now. He is the creator of Kwanzaa and the Nguzo Saba, and the author of the definitive book, Kwanzaa, a celebration of family, community, and culture. And we greet each other every day this week, as we've been doing, with the words Habari Gani, which means what's the news? And so we greet him for giving us this holiday. We greet him in the same way. Habari Gani, Dr. Maulana Karenga.
Kuumba, Reverend Masamela, and Habari Gani to all other people who are listening and watching. We say, Heri za Kwanzaa, happy Kwanzaa. The sixth principle of Kwanzaa is Kuumba, creativity. And the text tells us that we are to do always as much as we can, in the way we can, in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. What a beautiful gift to us to ask ourselves, what are we to do? And it is to bring good into the world, to do as much as we can, in the way we can, in order to leave our community, and by extension, the world, more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. This principle of creativity speaks in a larger sense, not only to our always striving to make our own community constantly better than and more beautiful and beneficial, but also to making the world better. This Kwanzaa, as always, we put forth the possibility of healing, repairing, renewing, and remaking the world, making it more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. This we do in the spirit of the ancient African ethical imperative called Suruj Ta in ancient Egyptian language, right? And that means to repair, renew, and remake the world, making it more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. Inherent in this concept is a call also to heal and repair ourselves and each other as well as the world, right? There's a dual thing here. And it comes right with Fanon. So we can cure ourselves of the wounds that have been inflicted on us by healing, repairing, and remaking the world. That is ending the pathological conditions imposed on us by oppression, right? So this is the real meaning of reparations for us in Kawaii. It's not just about receiving money, but about a larger struggle to achieve justice and liberation and the radical repairing we would do to ourselves, society, and the world in the process of struggle for justice. Reparation is to repair a grievous injury. The injury is a holocaust of enslavement and subsequent oppression, right? But I always say that we are wounded or injured physicians who have the capacity to heal ourselves. We do not deny that we were made victims, but we also say that we are physicians, right? That inherent in our capacity in the millennia of our history and in the experience and knowledge that represents, that we are physicians and liberation soldiers that can, in fact, heal and repair, renew and remake ourselves in the process of repairing, renewing, and remaking the world. And so the concept of Sarustai is rooted in the ethical teachings of our ancestors that we constantly injure ourselves, each other, in the world as a whole. Not only by what we do wrong, Black people, but also by what we fail to do right. Moreover, the damage we do to each other in the world, like the good we do to and for ourselves, right? We have to realize that the human beings not only do damage to themselves, they at the same time damage the world. And when they damage the world responds back. That's the whole argument around climate change, right? I mean, we cannot injure the world without a reciprocal response. And so we're taught to walk gently on the world. First, we said, relate rightly, act justly, and walk gently in and for the world. We've got to first relate rightly, because everything depends upon our relations, not only with each other, but also with the world. And then we've got to act justly in our relationship. And we've got to walk gently. Don't leave such a footprint, an imprint on the world that it damages the world and future generations. And so the Odu Ifa teaches us, we again live in a world and web of interdependence. And it says, anyone, when we're doing good for the world, remember, anyone who does good does it for herself, and anyone who does evil does it to himself. Let me put it in the collective. Those who do good do it for themselves, and those who do evil do it to themselves. And Lady Ty said, of ancient Egypt said, do good then. Doing good is not difficult. In fact, just speaking good is a monument for those who do it. For those who do good for others are also doing it for themselves, for they are building the good world we all want and deserve to live in. And so we do damage to the world, ourselves, and each other in varied ways. We do damage when we fail to follow the best of our ethical and spiritual teachings, and instead use religion to disrespect and impose on others, to justify unjust wars, use religion to seize and occupy others' land, and to claim a special religious and racial status above and beyond all other peoples in the world. We do damage when we turn a blind eye to injustice, a deaf ear to truth, and an uncaring heart away from the suffering and pain around us and throughout the world. We do damage to the world when we make material gain the measure of all things, when we pollute and plunder and deplete and destroy the environment and undermine the basis for life on earth, and when we act in ways that dim and diminish the future of coming generations. Our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, taught that we must think for eternity and plan for the future for those who come after us. We must leave them a legacy of good. Indeed, in ancient teaching, the Hosea says, I did good for my community. I spoke truth. I did justice, for I knew the value of doing good. It will be a storehouse for those who come after. And Queen Hatshepsut, Pharaoh Hatshepsut said, I added to what was formerly done, for I wanted it to be said by those who come afterward, how beautiful is this which has happened because of her. May all of us be able to lie down in service to each other and the world and be able to say, I did this good thing, and how beautiful, may they say of me, how beautiful this thing is that she or he has done. What a beautiful thing. And that is what Mary McLeod Bethune meant when she says, so live a life of service that even when you lie down in death, you stand tall on the platform of service.
You're listening to the best of the best of the best of MIP.
With honors.
This is
Make it plain.
Make it plain.
MIP.
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make it plain.
Get woke.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to the Make It Plain podcast this week someone with a brand new book out in spite of the crisis we're all in, and we'll talk about that. All of this is very, very challenging to us all. but I think she can help uplift all of us
Yeah.
in this situation. Give us some inspiration and hope and context. As I've been saying, every now and then we may need to just turn off the news, y'all,
Yeah.
because it's not, it's rough. And when these press conferences aren't offering solutions anyway, but a bunch of lies, we need to do something different. So let me strongly suggest you add to your book list while you're home, sheltering in place. Other than Netflix, you can do other things. You can read.
Yeah.
We want our bodies back. We want our bodies
Yeah.
back. The
Yeah.
latest book from the great Jessica Care Moore, and she joins us now from Detroit. Jessica, God bless you, sister. How you holding up?
I'm holding up. So wonderful to be on the line with you and to your listening to your audience. Want to send out some good healing energy. We're all dealing with this. I'm in Detroit, so we're on the front line here.
Yeah.
One of those top cities dealing with this crisis, and in particular, Black community here being hit really hard. Me personally being hit hard. But what you said is so true. Like, at some point in your day, I would just suggest not starting your day with the news. Like, really, like, making the point to, and I'm talking to myself, while
Yeah.
I'm talking to y'all,
Yeah.
about really, like, making that cup of tea first, doing those couple yoga stretches or just checking into yourself first, because it has become, for me, almost, it's stopping me in my tracks. So you can't really function, because once you start digesting all this negativity and all the death and all the sickness, it becomes a part of your energy for the day. And so I'm working to make sure I have my 13-year-old here being Google Classroom schooled right now, driving me absolutely nuts. So so that's enough, that I have to be in the house with a teenager. It's stressful enough. But on a more serious note, yeah, I mean, just in general, like reading, I mean, I think, it's bittersweet for me. My book is out. We Want Our Bodies Back. It's my 5th collection. It's my first collection with HarperCollins, Amistad. So it's a big deal for me to be on this major press. First Black woman poet since Gwendolyn Brooks to be on HarperCollins. So really big deal for my voice. I've been a poet for 25 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And if people know my work, they know I've been publishing, through More Black Press, publishing Saul Williams and Danny Simmons and Raz Baraka. And I became as a very young person in New York City, living in Brooklyn and later Harlem, publishing the New York poets who were on the scene in the 90s, because people weren't checking for us. And so I started an institution around the work, and that was really my Detroit blue-collar hustle, that I knew that it had to be more than just about writing poems. I had to figure out, how do we build something around the arts, right, to sustain myself. And it's deep, because now we're talking about how do artists sustain themselves, right?
Right.
Because I'm out of work with a book out, though, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So.
But let's do this. First of all, I want to say it, and folks, Jessica was saying to me before we got started recording the podcast how this has affected her personally. She's lost some loved ones.
Yes.
So we want to lift them up and lift you up in that, and
Thank
pray for you and them and their families. And then we also did talk about, you and I talked about the whole income piece for those of us who are artists.
Yeah.
And I mean, this affects everyone. Not to mention, let me mention this, and I'll just turn this over to you. We keep turning on the news, I think, instinctively, because we're looking for some answers, some good news, for some solutions. But our people, we need to get back to the place where sometimes we could only find good news in Black thought, Black literature, Black poetry, Black artistry. When nothing else, when nobody giving us nothing else. And I think that this is where we may find ourselves, if we haven't already, in this situation. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not just saying, buy the book for the hell of it. Let's just buy Jessica's book. I'm saying that we got to do some things, go back to old school in terms of our survival. Right. We need some good news. So yeah, I mean, please speak
I
on
believe
all
in
of
all
that.
of these things. I mean, the art is the healing balm. It is poetry, and you're talking about specifically about Black artists. I'm a child of the Black arts movement, so I came up under the tutelage of Amiri Baraka and Sonia Sanchez, and Gil Scott-Heron was my mentor. Roy Ayers still is, a part of my existence and has been supporting my work for many years. So those those artists, like, because I think right now, like in the time of like wartime or anything like that, is what keeps us going. When you saw those artists and those folks in Italy on their balconies, those horn players and things,
That's right.
like we are so necessary. And I think people often forget or take for granted that being a creative isn't valuable, but it is so valuable. And it's and we have everything we need. Like, let me tell you, my son, the healing remedies are in my home already. Like, so all the herbs and things that people are now running to figure out what to get, we already had it in our house. I didn't have to buy anything new. We already had eucalyptus. We all had elderberry. We already had all the things. And so getting back to the source of who we are as a people, what you said, and also the homeschooling piece. I told him, you about to study some other things. Like, we going to have homeschool. Yeah, the school is still online, but now you home with me. So he's about to do a paper on having him study Kwame Ture. Like, we're going to learn about, different people, black political figures that you're not going to learn at your little private Catholic school. They're not going to teach you about that. So, and I told him we're going to read some more books, like different books, and so now that I'm here, I mean, it's probably driving him nuts, but later he's going to thank me. And so, getting back to, like, we're the first teacher, we're our first doctors. I mean, that's what we have to remember, not giving it all up to everyone. And I got people who are my brother, Dr. Rob Gore, shout him out, is a hero, like an emergency medical doctor in Brooklyn, New York, a fantastic brother, and does great work in the community outside of just being a doctor. And he's on the front line of that movement, and I respect his work. But he also texted me and said, Jessica, we don't know it all. You know what I mean? And he goes to his herbs, and he goes to his natural healing and the work that he does with his martial art, getting closer to your body, and making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Like, we're talking about these pre-existing conditions. People, they brought up diabetes, high blood pressure. Now, these are things our community must deal with. We got to deal with the food we're eating,
Yes, ma'am.
but also adding to the reading we're doing. Like, what are we reading? Like, your bookshelf should be real food. It should be something that you can, like, I used to say, my mother, when I grew up in Detroit, the one thing my mother gave me was books. Now, we would eat books, literally. Like, my mother would fly through novels, like, that's what we was eating.
That's
we
great.
was eating on some novels and some
That's great.
memoir. So, yeah, we want our bodies back. As the title poem is for Sandra Bland. So the book is a healing piece. My sister texted me this morning. She said, I got the book and I read the intro. And she said, she said the intro just had me in tears. And it's a real honest work. It's not easy work, but it's necessary, right? It's about, I'm dealing with police brutality. I'm thinking about, think about Black women, like who we are in the middle of this pandemic. The nurses that I've seen online that are on the front line, the mamas that are having to take care of families. And that's what this book is about. It's about lifting up those mothers and those sisters and those women who really carry the load and are often not talked about enough. Even when we're talking about what's happening with Mike Brown is in my book, Eric Gardner's in my book, of course, Tamir Rice is in my book. I'm a mama. So I'm talking about my sons. But at the same time, we often, like Sandra Bland, there's so many Sandra Blands, we don't hear about what happens to these sisters. And she was just like me. I talk a lot of mess. I talk a lot. Like, I'm like, when the police pull me over, I am not in a good mood. I don't feel safe. I mean, that's real. The only thing that might save me a little bit is that if I'm driving in Detroit, I drive all over the country. Sometimes I'm renting cars. I'm driving in LA. I'm driving in Milwaukee, wherever I happen to be on the road doing. But in Detroit, at least I might get a Black cop. That is different. That we still are, a predominantly Black city. Detroit is. We're still a chocolate city. And despite the rapid gentrification going on everywhere in all cities, we're still the majority here. And so you do see yourself. I've been pulled over by brothers I went to high school with, and that makes a difference, But community we have to start becoming a people again. And I think that's what reminds me of things you said, what makes me think about, like, getting back to the essence of who we are. Like, what would my daddy be doing right now? So.
Well, you talk about your son.
Yeah.
I mean, what you learn and what all of us did in our generation, and you and I are fairly close in age.
Yeah. 25.
Right. I know that's right. Amen. We got it outside of school.
Yes.
We didn't get everything in the school. A lot of what we got, we had to get on our own. And you mentioned you talk a lot of mess now. If we using Sandra Bland as a standard, I mean, Sandra talk like every black woman I've ever known. So to me, that ain't mess. That's
right.
just us. That's just how we got
That's
to
just
deal.
us. We tell the truth.
Yeah, that's how we got to deal. So, but as I'm looking at the book and knowing what it's about and who you dedicated it to, and God bless you for that. I see even in this current situation, you talk about your brother being in medicine.
Yeah.
When we want our bodies back, to me, and this is coming from a former poet. I don't have time to do it like I used to. I wish I did. Lord have mercy.
All right. I believe you.
But when we say we want our bodies back today in the midst of this crisis, it still applies because our bodies have been abused and taken for granted, mistreated, malnourished, diagnosed.
Come on.
We get treated different in the doctor's office. And, a whole lot of folk was saying, oh, it was this myth. This thing ain't going to affect black people. But now we're seeing Milwaukee, where you are in Detroit, and we have all these other issues.
New Orleans, Baltimore about to get hit.
And all of that. And that's right, New Orleans, that's right. So talk to us about how even what you've written about and released is applicable, whether the police hopefully the police ain't stopping you now because you're supposed to be home, y'all. But still, the reclamation of our bodies is still applicable with this plague.
It is. It's also, about self-care. It's about really deciding. Some people live for that pharmacy. Some people want to go get their pills and have the doctor medicate them. It's just never been my way. And back in the day, it was not the way. The Black South taught us. We didn't have all the things, coming up from slavery and the things that we had to take care of our children, right, the best way we could. And so we learned, we knew about the plants that were the healing remedies. We knew about aloe. And my folks are down in Alabama. Like, folks aren't running to the doctor when something happens, when they get a cough. And so, like, learning, relearning, or just really unlearning, because a big part of what you're talking about is also just the educational piece. Like us not knowing the gifts that we are born with and the education that's passed down through oral, through spirit world, the things that I have, even a lot of things that I know about are not necessarily, there's none of it was something I studied at Michigan State or Wayne State University, let alone my high school. What I learned in school was that I was not learning much. Like, that's the thing that I learned, that they're trying to make sure that I don't know anything too much because I might actually become educated. So I've educated myself. I learned how to be a poet. I didn't go get a master's degree. I learned how to be a poet by going to the library. And I read everybody. I read the white poets I was forced to write. I read like T.S. Eliot and Robert Frost and Walt Whitman. I read all those guys. And then I went and found Audre Lorde and Lucille Clifton. I found the black broadside press writers like Dudley Randall and Larry Neal. I was doing that when I was like 15. Like, I was like, I'm going to teach myself, because as soon as my drama teacher brought Ndizaki Shange for Color Girls into the Black Box Theater, my whole world changed. And I was like, that's the one thing the Detroit public school system gave me, was my drama teacher. They don't have that no more. No, the theater gone. Painting gone. You can't play a musical instrument. We used to have the baddest bands in the land was in Detroit. Ask anybody that went to TSU, right? Like all the bandmates, everybody went to TSU when they left Detroit and played for their band. That's right.
And, that's right.
Back in the day, that's what we did. We all went to TSU.
That's
and
right.
so, but now they don't have no bands. You know what I mean? Very, maybe a couple of the schools got bands, but it's not, this battle of the bands does not occur. We don't have drama departments. We have one school, Detroit School of the Arts is our only Detroit public school that's really killing it as far as art and theater in the city. One school. Yeah. And, that's ridiculous in this city full of black and brown children that I know want to do art, but don't even know it's accessible to them. Right. Don't even know, So I think this is and we all at home together. So people are at home, and some folks, my family has started to Zoom, for the first time. And we're, talking to people that you don't normally talk and check in. Like, maybe we should check in with each other a little more. We started doing this thing in Zoom, and my family was like, we should do this more often. We should actually do this once a week. Why don't we start talking to each other instead of just going to work and coming home, with our significant other and not checking in and being real family-like. And so...
Well, it's funny you should say that about Detroit. I had Mary Wilson in the studio with me not too long ago. And I asked her, what was in the water in Detroit that there was so many successful musicians? And she said, Mark, it wasn't in the water, it was in the school. You don't have the people teaching music in any of the schools in the country the way you used to. And I think I remember taking a poetry class when I was in high school.
Believe it, yeah.
You know, and they had them in college. I mean, so
Yeah.
you know, all of that is
Whew.
important and necessary. I didn't ask you this beforehand, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
put you on the spot because we need
Okay.
some help in healing. Why you
Oh.
feel like reading a little bit for us
Yeah,
from
I
the
can
book?
read a poem.
Please.
Absolutely. I always got poems. I'm gonna read well, a lot of the book is heavier than that, but I do have some stuff that's kind of more light. So I want to read this, and I love this poem. It's called "I Used to Be a Roller Coaster Girl," and I wrote it for Intozaki Shange, and it's about being a little girl growing up in Detroit. And so it's for little girls everywhere that are strong. Because I was a little strong, pulled my hair back in a ponytail, run around with my brother's kind of little girl. So that's me. I used to be a roller coaster girl. 7 times in a row, no vertical, knee skinny legs. My lipstick bubblegum pink as my Panther 10 speed. Never kiss, nappy pigtails, no brand gym shoes, white line, yellow short shorts, scratching up legs, pedaling past borders of hummus and baba ganoush, mosques and liquor stores, city chicken, pepperoni bread, and Superman ice cream cones. Yellow, black, blended with bits of Arabic, Islam, and Catholicism. My daddy was Jesus. My mother was quiet. Jane Kennedy was worshipped by my brother Mark. I don't remember having my own bed before 12. Me and my sister Lisa shared. Sometimes all 3 more girls slept in that queen. You grow up so close, never close enough. I used to be a roller coaster girl, wild child full of flowers and ideas, useless crushes on Polish boys in a school full of white girls. Future black swan singing Zeppelin, U2, and Rick Springfield, hoping to be Jesse's girl. I could outrun my brothers and everybody else to that reoccurring line. I used to be a roller coaster girl till you told me I was moving too fast. Said my rush made your head spin, my laughter hurt your ears. A scream of happiness, a scream of freedom, pouring out my armpits, sweating up my neck. You were always the scared one. I kept my eyes open for the entire trip. Right before the drop, I would brace myself and let that force push my head back into that hard iron seat. My arms nearly fell off a few times. Still, I kept running back to that line when I was done. Same way I kept running back to you. I used to be a roller coaster girl. I wasn't scared of mountains or falling. Hell, I looked forward to flying and jumping off this earth and coming back to life every once in a while. I found some peace in being out of control, allowing my blood to race through my veins for 180 seconds. I earn my sometimes nicotine pull. I buy my own damn drinks, and the ocean still calls my name when it feels my toes near its shore. I still love roller coasters, and you grew up to be afraid of all girls who could ride fearlessly like me. So that's it.
Jess
That's what
Care
it
Moore.
was.
I'm snapping right
Yeah.
now. Okay, I'm doing the thing.
You
No,
give me some love.
no, that's beautiful.
Thank
It's something I'm going
you.
to share with you. Earlier this week, we talked with James Clyburn,
Okay.
and I asked him. I said, "Man, the word is you told Joe Biden that he needs to pick a black woman."
Yeah.
And he said, "No, no, no. I never said that." He said, "What I said." He said, "What I said, Mark, was that the person you pick should be a reflection of those who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this party and this movement for our people to have the right to vote."
That's right.
So
That would be us.
right, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, so you didn't say it explicitly, but you said it implicitly. And then he talked about, there are black women everywhere qualified to be in office, qualified to be the president, qualified to
right.
be on the Supreme Court.
Absolutely.
And that's what we got to lift up. And I know that's what you are lifting up. Can I make a request? I want to hear another poem, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. What you want to
I
hear?
really think that this is, this whole thing to me is we're really in a state of spiritual warfare. Because like you said, your brother, these doctors don't know. They don't know.
Come on.
And I've been telling everybody who's not here in New York, Jessica, I was looking at TV, again, the news. And I'm sitting here at my computer, and then last Wednesday, a week ago, the refrigeration truck pulled up to put the bodies in it. And
I saw,
and I was like,
I haven't been the same since I saw the video.
that's what I'm saying. When
the
I
same.
saw that, sister, you know how something just overtakes you. So, oh, wait a minute, this is something else now. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
And I had to go into the prayer closet and get some folk to pray for me, and then come out and pray for everybody else. Even as a minister, I got weak. And I've been dealing with that and realizing this This is spiritual warfare. So
Warfare.
I am not ready to die.
Oh, yes, what you want to hear?
That's
Okay,
what we need to
because I
hear.
had another one. The way you were talking, I had
Well,
something
do
else
that
pulled
too.
up.
Listen, we want to hear your voice. Do them both, please. We got time, please.
Okay, we have time.
Yeah,
Because with the way you're talking, it made me want to do this piece. It's a
please.
little longer than I'm not ready to die, but gratitude is a recipe for survival.
Mm.
And it's a poem I wrote. I wrote a version of the poem in my first book, God Is Not an American, and rewrote it for this book because I couldn't possibly publish this book and not talk about gratitude and about survival, right? And about how we survive. And so this is the piece is for the people who survive outside of the norm, right? Who figure out ways to stay alive. Like
Please.
artists, like right now, like I'm gonna figure out a way to take care of my son,
Amen.
right? You think I'm not Jessica Care Moore ain't gonna be on the street. I'm not gonna lose my house. So I'm not claiming any of that, and I don't have all my gigs that we booked for the fall. But I got to get to September. We're going to figure that out. But gratitude is a recipe for survival.
Please.
She is the woman in yellow. In her kitchen full of teas and fresh herbs, she is cutting celery for soup, and a slow fire warms a broth that will leave her doctors in awe. She is cancer-free and more fierce than she was when there were two breasts to define her as a woman, arms stretching daylight so the nights feel less heavy. She has decided to live, despite the post-traumatic stress racing through the veins of so many of us, warriors, survivors, artists who break poems in half for decades to feed an audience but must budget food for our children. Self-care is not a catchphrase. It is simply what is necessary when you aren't poor enough for federal welfare or too rich to realize the pharmacy is not the answer to all your darkest fears. Some mothers just need to be prescribed some sleep, or the power to fight against the chemical waste polluting the air of low-income neighborhoods. Magic blue black women who turn 25-floor project hallways into endless playgrounds for princesses and pigtails, whose deferred dreams turn every corner, defy gravity and define possibility. 1 part honey, 2 parts ginger. A grandmother carries nearly 20 grandchildren in her eyes. She would not be easily moved by the lead infesting her reality, the poison water she's been cooking her greens and bathing her Flint babies in for years. She is conjuring the chefs of gutted pigs, the salted seasoning of slavery, the ancient healing remedies of moonlit daughters and twilight fathers who decide they will not die. The courage of thousands of displaced Black American HIV-positive teens fighting for their lives without shelter from a pandemic, no church, no place to provide adequate health care or safety from stigma, pushing for resources and representation in a country where health care is only for those who can afford it, not the ones we can no longer afford to lose. A dash of cayenne, a squeeze of lemon, an American toothache laughs at the sugar tax of San Francisco. Comedy is a consistent remedy to boosting our fragile immune systems. Where you live determines if you are treated and how you are treated. Still, here I stand, metaphorical daughter of Robeson, holding my 11-month-old son in my arms at the DHS office. The student from University of Michigan recognizes me in the line despite my baseball cap and jogging pants, turns to me and says, "We are studying your books in our English class." The homeless man gives me $1. I am hiding, hoping to not look like I'm doing well. Doing well doesn't go with the chairs in this office. I'm thankful and embarrassed. The same day I was booked for a show in Paris, asked to deliver a keynote at another college, my son's health insurance was canceled by the state. And the preschool says I owe them $3,000 before my son can continue in the new year. The daycare lady is asking me if I have a job again. I'm a famous poet and writer. I performed all over this country, Europe, South Africa, Brazil, Ghana. Remember me? I was on the cover of the New York Times. My poems are alive on the 4th floor of the National Museum of African American History in Washington, D.C. I'm on display, always on display. Exactly what does being a legend pay? I need some W-2s for this life. This is madness, I tell myself. In order to receive help from the state, you have to be working. My writing is my work. I can't have my son 24 hours a day and write and create new work. Question marks float on top of the head of the caseworker. Herbie Hancock plays in the background. Never leave your music at home. Never leave your music at home. They only play the TV on one station in the lobby, the sci-fi channel or something. Sometimes there are cookies full of M&M's. King, don't touch the cookies, baby. King, don't touch the cookies. I made up a job because my job is not a job. And apparently told them I make too much money that doesn't really exist. So now I'll be allocated $12 a month for food. Art is a thankless job. Art is a thankless job. Weldon Irvine, who co-wrote To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, would whisper in my ear at the Schomburg in Harlem before he killed himself a few years later. Thankless, 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 thank you, thank you, thank you, thankless, 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 thank you, thank you, thank you, Joni Mitchell and Nina Simone, to drown out these moments. Thank you, Imani and Satan, Stephanie, Tammy, Angie, Charlotte, and even Beyonce for that song, If I Were a Boy. Thank you, angels, past lovers. Thank you, patience. Thank you, bravery. Thank you, peace. Thank you, resistance. Thank you, Mos Def, for telling me it was honorable to live my life, travel the world. People ask me what I do. I simply say I'm a poet. Thank you, Talib Kweli and Sonia Sanchez, for friendship and activism. Ozzie Davis for that elbow nudge in my arm and your smile. Thank you, Nana, for buying coats and uncles for shoes. More family. I have more family. I was born a more. I'm headed to LA for some shows. I have to stop crying and write this poem, but this is not a show. This is my life, God. This is my gift. Got a gig in London while I was writing this. Next month's rent. Thank you, Daddy, God, ancestors, past lover, present lover. Got your text, baby. I'm okay. Poems. This is what I have to give. I'm eating poems today. I'm thankful. I'm humiliated. I'm embarrassed. I'm surviving. I'm writing. Dick Gregory just died. Ruby D just died. Mitty Baraka just died. Jen Cortez just died. You can't stop us. You can't stop us. No. Love is health care, and gratitude is a recipe for survival. This is my job, damn it. This is my job, you know. We are mothers. Give us our checks. I'm a mother. Give me my check. Amen, amen, amen. Always honey, always sweet. A poet, a woman in yellow, mixed with apple cider vinegar. A grandmother in Flint, dicing garlic with prayer. A beautiful boy in Harlem, sipping hot green tea. A princess born into poverty, banking poems inside peach pies. You can't find them, you can't find me. We are busy outliving our circumstances. You are into Zaki's kitchen, boiling a fearless soup for survival for color girls. We are busy confusing your paperwork with real life. My lover says he speaks to me in real life. The internet is an illusion. Healthcare should not be an illusion. People are addicted to illusions, though. Thankless world. Not me, 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 not me. Thank you. That's it.
Jessica Care Moore. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Thank you.
That was powerful.
Thank you. Over the phone is hard.
No, it worked. I'm just sitting up here as you were reading that. I'm sitting up here on the phone in the middle of a plague, listening to Jessica Care Moore read her poetry. That's salvific unto itself. Folks, you need to get this book. We want our bodies back. Now,
please get it.
Let me just ask this. So, are you gonna go on Instagram Live and elsewhere and read? Because I think people need that.
April 23rd, me and Kevin Powell will be in conversation and hopefully talent. I had a big book party coming up in New York at the International Institute for Photography with me and Kevin Powell in conversation. And Talib Kweli was DJing my party.
Wow.
So we're going to try to get Talib to do a playlist for us, but me and Kevin are doing the conversation, talking about the work. So that's all going to be, if anyone goes to my Instagram page, it's just Jessica Care Moore, or to my Facebook page, or to jessicacaremore.com, I post everything. Right. So there'll be flyers for all the events, the online virtual events that are coming up. We're trying to get a Black on Maroc online. You know, I executive produced Black on Maroc for 16 years. Right. So we're working on Black on Maroc. The women, I got 10 headliners already lined up. We're just figuring out what the best platform is. So people just stay on my social media. I'm on there more than I want to be right now. And I try to keep my page uplifting as possible, since other folks really are putting a lot of doom and gloom, and I'm trying to keep it as lifted as possible. So you safely follow me on Facebook or Instagram for some good check-ins, for the spirit. So.
We appreciate that, and we need it. You and that little boy, y'all take care of yourselves. And
thank you.
We pray.
I hope to see you in real life in the future.
Yeah, I hope to see you as well. We praying for you all and all of our protection, okay? God bless you, sister.
You.
Thank you for everything,
and
we'll be in touch. All right.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye. Thanks for getting woke and listening to Make It Plain. Please remember to listen, like, subscribe, and wherever you get your podcasts, please give the show a 5-star rating. And please do spread the word. Let's all continue to pray for each other during this pandemic and this police-demic. If all hearts and minds are clear, it has been made plain.
Nice buns, soft, fluffy, and ultra-low net carbs. Discover Hero Bread, the delicious ultra-low net carb bread with incredible taste and texture. Hero Bread has 0 grams of sugar and is under 100 calories per serving. Plus, high in fiber with 5 to 10 grams of protein per serving. Available on Amazon.com, Walmart.com, and at hero.co. That's HERO.co. Delicious, ultra-low net carb Hero Bread, buns and tortillas. Soft and fluffy, high in fiber, and with 0 grams of sugar, up to 10 grams of protein, coming in at under 100 calories. Order today at hero.co and use the code AH10 to get 10% off your first purchase. That's AH10 at hero.co. HERO.co. Order from hero.co now and get 10% off your first purchase with promo code AH10. That's 10% off with code AH10. HERO.co.